Hey everybody, Jordan here with the North 40 Fly Shop up in Sandpoint, Idaho, doing a fly tying tutorial for you today. Today we're going to be doing a cool little trout spey fly. I call it the 208 Cedar Sculpin. This fly is obviously inspired by many other trout spey flies out on the market today, but the color combos I kind of put together on this, the Cedar Sculpin, if you've ever heard about it, it's a species of sculpin that is only found in the Coeur River drainage and the St. Joe drainage in all of Idaho. You can only find this one species of sculpin, and this is kind of the color of it, real yellowy, orange, and brown. It's got a lighter head in the body if you look at the actual sculpin. So this has been a really good trout spey fly for us on both the Coeur and the St. Joe. It's a sparse trout spey stream, and that's how I like my trout spey flies, is really sparse, thin, flowy materials. They cast better. They look better in the water, they have tons of movement, and they also sink better. If you got a really bulky, material dense fly, it's not going to cut through the water as good. So one thing I like to tell people that are maybe new to trout spey is if you're buying out of the bins or tying your own, tie them real sparse and light, and use your sink tips to get the fly down versus making the fly itself heavy. So yeah, let's get it in time. I'd love to show you how it's done. Alright guys, let's tie this thing. So to get started, we're using a Waddington shank here. Really good size, 25 millimeter for the trout speys and small steelhead flies. As you can see, you got to use your vise sideways on it. Not too big of a deal though, really like these shanks. So let's start by dressing the hook here, and we'll work our way forward. I put these little nickel dumbbells on here for these guys. And you can use bigger dumbbells, smaller. I like these, not super heavy. And the way I attach them, put them on top, spin it below. I like them on the bottom because this is an upturn. Orients the way these are gonna swing, and yeah, helps them swing a little better, keeps them nice and upright. So lock them in real good with some figure eights. Now we'll work our way back here, and we'll attach our hook. So on this one I'm using Senyo's thin intruder wire, and I just pass it through this is a size 4 Daiichi intruder hook. And a couple ways you can orient it. Comes down to preference really. You can do it up, you do it down. We're gonna do it down on this one. I find both are effective at catching fish. If you do it down, you stab yourself less while tying this fly. So I like to get a couple loose wraps on there, and I'll pull it to the length I want. That's about there. So we'll wrap in here. Oh, hold it back a little bit. Yeah. So get this good and secure. The benefit of using the Senyo's wire and thin on these small trout flies is you can pass it through the eye of your shank here for added security, and it doesn't take up the whole eye. Still got room for your tippet to go through. Anchor nice and secure here. And you can take the back part of your scissors to cut this wire free so you don't dull up the good part. And that's not going anywhere. So let's work to the back of the shank now. Going to be attaching some copper UV polar chenille, cool material for these spey flies. Comes in an array of colors, so you can tie this sculpin pattern just about anything you want. I've done steelhead colors, trout colors, real natural sculpin-y stuff. White, I've done all white, that works. Yeah, so get that tied in real good. Work your thread up about just the halfway mark and start pulling it forward. Make sure you're pulling these fibers back as you go. Try not to trap them. Sometimes that cord will fight you, but for the most part, try and get them back. Four or five wraps is just about right. That's perfect right there. Catch it right there on my side of the shank. Tie it off real good. snip it off. So next step is going to be adding some marabou. We're going to spin some marabou here. When you're selecting marabou out of the bag, you're going to want to use some nice round tips here, as you can see. Nice and even. So we'll grab this, find the very tip of it exposed to the stem. We'll tie it in right there. It's fragile. It takes some practice getting used to spinning marabou, but adds a cool effect. Nothing really flows like marabou. So get that tied in, park your thread forward so you can catch it. Start working it in. Nice tight touching wraps. If you break it off, it's not the end of the world. Just start over. It is fragile. Give it just enough flow. This thing swims really well. Okay, that's about right there. That's probably 4 turns there. Work your thread through. Try not to trap any fibers. Hard not to. Reach in. Got the stem free. Not bad. Reach in, kind of clean those up a bit. You can even come in with your tips of your scissors and kind of pull free some of the ones you might have trapped with your thread. That's perfect right there. So now, next step is going to be some mallard. I like using these ones with the really long fibers. If you look at that, I've preened back towards the stem. Nice long fibers. We don't use much of this, but the longer fibers look real nice. This just adds a little accent, kind of that sculpin mottled look. So we'll tie that in right at the stem. Tie it in real good. Mallard feathers are slick. A lot of thread wraps. Cut your tips free. And on this, well, I'm probably only going to do 1 wrap of this, maybe 1.5. You don't need much. If you use too much mallard, it gets cloggy and it won't swim like it's supposed to. So there was 1 wrap. Yeah, about 1.5 is gonna be the ticket. Catch it off. Let your bobbin hang to keep pressure. Snip it free and you can use that for the next one. So kind of clean those up a bit. And yeah, it just adds a little accent. This actually swims pretty good when you don't use a lot of it. Okay, so now that we're done with that step, the last material we're gonna put on here is some rabbit fur in a dubbing loop. So we will just form the dubbing loop right here in front of the mallard. Work the thread back to start it there. Work your thread up in front of the dumbbells. That's where we'll catch it. You will take your handy dandy dubbing loop spinner here. A really cool tool I like using for this is loon D-loop tweezer. This thing's awesome. So using a cross-cut rabbit strip here, you guys can see this. Reach in with the tool, grab it all by the tips. And then what you can do is take some scissors, real sharp scissors, cut the hide off. Be careful with it so you don't pull any of these fibers out. Helps keep them aligned. So then what you're left with is that, nice and aligned. And one thing I like to do, save yourself some heartache, is when you're putting in the materials, do it with the tips facing backwards because that's the way they're going to be flowing. So you can open up your dubbing loop here. Close it up, release the tool, and there you are. You can always grab them and kind of move them around a little bit. Yeah, just like that. So then, next step is spin them together. Nice and slow with rabbit so you don't fling them out of there because they're so static. If you go fast, you'll just fling all the material out. Nice and slow, get it tight. Just like that. So, start wrapping, pull all those fibers back, preen them back, and we're going to work toward the dumbbells there. Looks messy when it's dry, but man, it makes a great little sculpin head when this is swimming through the water. So once you get there, really pack it in there. Cool trick I like to do for forming these heads is come on this side, come underneath that dumbbell, across the top, around the back of the other, just figure 8 that material around them. Gives it a nice seamless look. Kind of like the kamikaze sculpin has the same head like that with the dubbing loop rabbit fur. And once you're done there, nice that loon tool is heavy enough it just sits there and hangs. You can tie it off. A couple wraps in front and it's secure. Snip it free. Just like that. Cool. That's the fly, guys. Throw in a whip finish here. And we are done. Great little trout spey fly, sculpin pattern for our area up here in North Idaho. Yeah, appreciate you guys watching. If you have any more questions about this fly, the materials we used, or any of the techniques, please come see us in the shop in Sandpoint. Visit us online at north40flyshop.com or see us on social media where this video will be posted. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at North40 Fly Shop. Thanks for watching.